Boom, just like that. 16 years old and it still cranks right up. Now, whether you need a generator to get you through the hurricane season or for dry camping in your RV, Honda portable generators are an awesome choice for portable on-demand power. Now, in this video, I'm going to share my 16-year experience with this Honda EU2000 and how we use it now to complement our solar, inverter, and lithium battery setup to get us through those days that either we don't have sun, we have rain, or we're in a camping spot like we are now where we're in full shade. Hi, I'm Larry with Downsizing Makes Sense, and if you're new to our channel, my wife Alice and I are 50-something empty nesters who sold our house in February, moved into our fifth wheel so we could travel and live a more adventurous life. In August 2004, as Category 4 Hurricane Charley approached, everybody was scrambling for plywood and generators. Now, I got in line at our local Honda motorcycle dealer for a generator. By the time I got to the front of the line, all that I could score was this 2,000 watt Honda generator for a list price of $1,079. Now, it was a lot lower output than what I actually came there for. I really wanted a 3,000 to 5,000 watt generator, but I took what I could get as generators were getting really scarce. Now, I was really glad that we did have this generator because Hurricane Charley knocked out our power for almost a week. We had it to keep the fridge going, power up our computers, get the TV and DVD player going, and charge our phones. Now, we even had movie night at our house with all of our neighbors because we had a generator that could power up those sensitive electronics. Now, that same year, we got a visit from Ivan, Francis, and Jean, and I was really glad that we had this generator around just in case we needed it. And of course, with Francis, we did need it because our power got knocked out again. Now, this has been an awesome generator for 16 years. When Matthew came along in 2016 and knocked out our power for 5 days, our generator came through. In 2017, when Irma came along and knocked it out for 6 days, again, our trusty generator kept us going. Now, when we picked up a travel trailer in 2012, our first RV, we would take this generator on trips to go dry camping in places like Huguenot Park in Jacksonville, powered up our AC and all of our electronics and charged our batteries. It was awesome. Now, most of the time in those 16 years, it just sat in the corner of our garage, just waiting to be used. Once every spring, I would pull it out, change the oil, check the spark plug and air filter, put some fresh gas in it and some Sta-Bil, run it for 30 minutes to an hour, and then put it away again so it was ready for the next time that we needed it. Now, when we bought our fifth wheel about a year ago, I took the generator and just stored it up in that front compartment as a backup. And when we took short trips, like when we went to the Tampa RV show and dry camp for 3 days, we had some portable on-demand power ready to go. This summer, we installed a solar, inverter, and lithium battery setup in our RV, so we really didn't think we need to use this generator anymore. But here we are, we're at Pancake Bay, an awesome provincial park in Northern Ontario, and the only spot that we could get that would fit our rig has no power. Not only that, it's under full shade. There's no way for the sun to power up our solar panels. So we had to pull out our trusty generator to charge up those lithium batteries. And after all these years, it runs perfectly, starts up with just a couple of pulls on the cord. Now, this is the Honda EU2000i inverter generator. It came out in 2001 and was in production up to a couple years ago when it was replaced by the EU2200, which has just a little bit bigger engine and a little bit larger output. So let me go through and just go through some of the stats between the 2000 and the 2200. Now, the MSRP, this, when I bought it in 2004, was almost $1,100. The new 2200 MSRP is about $1,139. This has a 100cc engine. The 2200, the current model, has a 121cc engine. The max watts for this unit is 2,000 watts, which is 16.6 amps. Now, the 2200, the current model, has a 2200 watt max output at 18.3 amps. Now, that's just for starting and for peak usage. Now, the rated amps on this is 1600 watts. which is 13.3 amps. It can run continuously at that output. Now the 2200, the new model, it can run at 1800 watts or about 15 amps continuously. Now, the loudness of these is really pretty quiet. I think that they're the quietest portable generators on the market. Now this one, its rated dB when it's running at full speed is 59 dBs, and at quarter power is 53 dBs. And the new one, the 2200, when it's running at its rated power is 57, and it's 48 when running at quarter power. Now, so it's the 2200, the new model, is just a little quieter than the old model. Now, as far as weight goes, they're both almost the exact same weight. The 2000 weighed 45.6 pounds, and the new 2200 weighs 46.5 pounds. So, you know, the form factor is almost exactly the same. They've just increased the size of the engine and then therefore increased its output in watts and amps. I'm going to go over basically the starting procedure. It's a very, very simple generator to use. The first thing you got to do is obviously put gas in it. It has got a very simple gas cap. It's very easy to fill. It holds about a gallon of gas. And then you have to rotate the vent knob from off to on. After that, you just turn the selector switch here to on, which turns the fuel and the on switch on at the same time. You rotate the choke to the choke position all the way over to this side, and then you just give it a couple of pulls. And I'll just see if it'll start right up there. Boom, just like that. 16 years old and it still cranks right up. Now I'm just going to go over some of the features on the front panel. It has a duplex 15 amp plug with a 20 amp circuit protection. It has this eco switch that allows the generator to run most efficiently. It only runs at an RPM that it's needed to generate the power that you need at the time. Now you can also turn the eco switch off. It'll just run the generator at full power. It also has this port for running in parallel. Now you could run two 2000 generators in parallel for 4000 watts, or you could run two 2200s in parallel for 4400 watts, or you could run a 2000 and a 2200 together in parallel for 4200 watts. It's an accessory you get from Honda that parallels them together and it gives you a 30 amp plug. Now in addition to that, it also has this 12 volt charging port. Now you get this accessory from Honda. It just plugs into that port, and what this does, it gives you the ability to charge a 12 volt battery at 8 amps. It's really the only thing it can be used for. Now it has circuit protection on that 12 volt circuit also. Now it also has these indicator lights. It has an oil alert light, an overload light, and an indicator light letting you know it's working. And of course it also has a grounding connection. Now maintenance for this little generator is really simple. You access the air filter and the oil change right here under this front cover by loosening this screw. Here's the oil filter plug. You just loosen the plug, pull it out, and either add oil, or to change the oil, it just pours out of the same plug. It just tips over like this and you pour the oil out. As far as the air filter goes, you just loosen the screw and just clean or change the air filter as needed. As far as the spark plug goes, let's flip it around. The spark plug access is under this little cover. You just pull off the plug, use the included wrench to loosen your spark plug, and either clean it or replace it as needed. Now for long-term storage, what you really should do is take all the fuel out of it. So dump the fuel that's in the tank, and then you loosen this screw, and then what that does is it lets the remaining fuel that's in the carburetor release down this tube, and you collect it down here. That'll get all the gas out of your generator for long-term storage. Now I never did this. I just took all the fuel out of it, replaced it with fresh fuel, and then put Sta-Bil in it, ran it for a while, made sure that Sta-Bil, that new Sta-Bil got into the carburetor, and then I would store it away. And this worked great for 16 years, and I've never had a problem. Now I'm just going to briefly go over how we connect this 2000 watt generator to our 50 amp fifth wheel. Now this is the plug that connects to our fifth wheel. It's a 50 amp 25 foot cord, and this is the plug that normally goes into the pedestal. Now we need to adapt this plug right here, this 50 amp, to plug into the front of the generator. So we use this 50 amp to 15 amp plug. So it just has a regular plug that you would find in your house, and that just plugs into the front of the generator. Now lots of times we want to get the generator farther than 15 feet to 25 feet from the RV. So then we use an extension cord. I have this 50-foot 30 amp cord. So what I do is instead of plugging it directly into the RV like that, I take this and I plug a 50 amp to 30 amp like this. And then I plug in my 30 amp 50-foot extension cord into here. And then I plug in my 30 amp to 15 amp into the front of the generator. Now what this does is it allows me to get the generator up to 75 feet away from the RV to make it quieter for me, and allows me to position it so that it doesn't bother my neighbors if I'm in a campground. It just keeps it a lot quieter. Now when I do this, I actually use this table right here. I put it over top of the generator to protect it from rain in case it rains while I'm using the generator. Now my RV comes with a surge protector built in. So when I tried to hook up my 2,000 watt generator up to my RV, the surge protector wouldn't allow it. It wouldn't pass the power from the generator to the RV. And it does that because these little portable generators have what's called a floating neutral. And that surge protector didn't like that. It wanted to have a neutral bonded ground. What that means is that the plug's neutral and ground are tied together. So what I had to do is I had to just make a very simple device. You can actually buy them on Amazon. It's called a neutral grounding plug. Basically what it does is it takes the neutral and the ground, bonds them together. I just did it with a piece of extension cord, bonded the neutral and ground together. And what I have to do is plug that into the port that's beside the one I have plugged in. This bonds the neutral and the ground together. That'll allow this surge protector to pass the power through and into my RV. Of course, these little portable generators just use regular unleaded gas. I use two 2.5 gallon gas cans that keeps 5 gallons of gas around. Now keep them in this tub, which I keep stored in the back of the truck. One of the reasons I got the rolling lock on the back of the truck is so I could store things like this in there and keep them nice and safe. Now I keep them in an uncovered tub like this, and I keep them with their caps on nice and tight when we're traveling. Now, as far as gas cans go, it's really important that you use one of the modern style gas cans. When I first got this generator, I had the old style gas can, and there was no way when you were filling it to keep it from overfilling and spilling all over the place. But we got these two new styles of gas cans, which are really awesome. It's got this first style that I've got back in Florida. It's got this little clicker. You click that in right there. And when you tip it into, it won't spill. And when you push down, it activates and puts gas into the tank. There's this other style that I got while I was here in Canada, which actually I like a lot better. It's a lot simpler. Doesn't have anything to click on it. It basically has a vent that comes down the same shaft as the normal tube right there. And when you want to put it in, you put it in, and it can't overfill, because as soon as it gets in and it reaches that level, it'll stop putting gas into the can. See, it stopped just like that. Pull it back out again, and there's no way you can spill it. So it's really important to use one of these modern type gas cans to fill your RV, to fill your generator so you don't get gas all over the place. Now, another option for Honda portable power is the EU1000 versus the 2200 or 2000. So it has 1000 watts of output power at peak, 900 watts rated power. And while this may not power everything you need for your RV, it's an interesting option. Let me just go through some of the stats and compare the 1000 versus the 2000 or 2200. Okay, so this, instead of having a 100cc or 120cc engine, it has a 50cc engine. Its max output is 1000 watts, which is 8.3 amps. Its rated output is 900 watts or 7.5 amps. So with continuous use, it could only pump out 7.5 amps. Its rated dB is 50, which is quite a bit quieter than the 57 or 59 with the 2200 or 2000. And its dB at quarter power is only 42. That's like whisper quiet. So if you want something that's super quiet and you don't need a lot of power, the 1000 might actually be a great option. Now, another great thing about this is that it is only 29 pounds. I mean, this thing is manageable as far as weight goes. With my arthritis, the almost 50-pound 2000 or 2200 is really hard to get around, and I need some help moving that thing. But this is like a little suitcase. It's very manageable, much lighter weight. Now, since it only has a 7.5 amp continuous output, it really limited on what you can use it for. You can't use it obviously for the AC. You can't use it for a microwave or probably even a coffee maker. It's 900 watts, it's limited. It could probably still hook it up to your RV to charge your batteries as long as your converter doesn't require more than 900 watts. But it's an awesome option. I had a buddy of mine that lent me this on our trip up north in Canada. Just had it as a backup, just in case something happened to my trusty 2000. And it's actually been pretty cool. I've tried it a couple of times and hooked it up to the RV. Now, the way our inverter hooks up, I can actually tell it what the input limit is. And I would just tell it, you know, don't draw any more than 7.5 amps from this baby. And it would charge up the batteries just fine. It would just take a lot longer than the 2000 or a 2200. Now, the 1000 is very, very similar to the 2000 and 2200. It has the same choke, it has the same starter cord. It has a little bit different switch to turn it on and off, but it also turns off the fuel at the same time. The controls on the front are very similar. It has a duplex 15 amp plug. It has parallel capability with another, only with a 1000. It has an eco switch the same. It has the same 8 amp charging port for charging DC batteries and circuit protection. It has a 10 amp fuse instead of a 20 amp circuit breaker. And of course it has the output indicator light, the AC overload light, and the oil alert light. And also has a grounded connection. So the connections and the controls, very similar to the EU2000 and 2200, just a lighter weight, easier, more portable package that might fit your needs either in an RV or even like a hurricane situation. Now, if you don't already have a generator or you aren't happy with the one you have, you should really consider one of these Honda portable generators. They are awesome. We have had ours for 16 years, and I think we should easily get another 5 years out of this baby before we have to replace it. They are quiet, powerful, lightweight, easy to maintain, and reliable. Now, there's a price for that. These babies cost probably twice as much as a comparable unit with similar output on the market there. There's lots of them on the market these days. But, you know, you get what you pay for. And when you need it, you know this baby's gonna work. You're gonna pull on that starter cord and you're gonna get that reliable power that you're looking for. Well, thanks for watching our review of our Honda portable generators. Now, if you have a question, please leave it down in the comments. If you have a story about Honda generators, I want to hear about it down in the comments. Or if you have a different generator story, a different brand you either love or you don't love, please also leave that in the comments. Now, if you like this kind of content, we do RV experiences, full-time RVing, DIY, product reviews like this, please consider subscribing to our channel to a link down here. I'm also going to leave a link to a playlist of some similar content, reviews, and RV experiences up here for you to check out next. Well, thanks for watching, and remember, downsizing does make sense.